Hello everyone. For this video we're going to be looking at doing the assembly of our lamp table. So as you can see, this is what our end result will look like, and we'll be working towards doing that. Now there are a few repeated parts. For instance, the leg, we only need one of those because we just copy and paste that 4 times. Okay, and the apron here, or the sash, or the rail you might call it, is just one part, and we reuse it 4 times as well. The tabletop, on the other hand, is the only thing that we only use once. Okay, so as you can see, this is our origin point here, and the first thing I want to do is we want to mate our leg to that origin point, so we have a fixed position for our overall design to reference back to. And then from there, the rest of our parts will be connected to each other using something called mates. And if you look on the left side here, these are all the different mates I did. And in total, we have about 26 mates that we're going to be doing. All right, and I'll explain that a bit more as we go. But each mate has a different way of relating to the different parts. So if I can show you, I'll first make a new assembly. So if you come down to the plus icon in the bottom left corner where my mouse is, left click on that, and then left click on create assembly. We're going to create a new assembly. Okay. Then the first thing we'll do is we'll rename it, and we're going to call it lamp table assembly. And I'm just going to drag it, left click and drag and drop it over towards my other 3 parts that I'll be using. So let me show you the different relationships. You have fasten mate, which removes all degrees of freedom between 2 entities. You have a revolute mate, you have a slider mate, you have a planar mate, you have a cylindrical mate, you have a pin slot mate, a ball mate, and a parallel mate. And you also have a tangent mate, and then there's a few other things as well. But we'll only be using the fasten mate and the planar mate. So only 2 different mate connectors. Now the different mates allow for different degrees of freedom, as I've been saying. So if we insert a part, so come over, left click on insert, and then we're just going to left click to insert leg 1, and left click one more time to place it. So it unhighlights yellow and I can't move it with my mouse anymore, and left click the tick to say that's all we want to do for now. Now, if I was to come down and zoom in on my origin point and my leg and click on the fasten mate, I need to select 2 entities, all right? 2 things to mate together, just like in a marriage, okay? And I'm going to select the origin point, okay? And as you can see, sometimes it changes angles, the axis here. You can kind of see it briefly. There you go, as I hover over it. But we're looking for that horizontal circle. See how that circle's just like on the ground almost? And then if I was to show you over here, that circle's like almost against the left-hand wall. Okay? And then you can change that angle again, like that, and that's almost on the wall, like if it was in front of me. So we want our circle to be on the ground, okay? So you kind of your horizontal axis. And you just need to left click on that once and see how it pops up in the mate connector. All right, so our first mate connector has been selected, and it is the origin, which is exactly what I've clicked on, the origin point. The second mate connector I want to be this bottom right corner, so the corner opposite to the slots, okay? And if yours is orientated a different way, you can come to a different view and have a look at it from the other angle. I'm just going to select this bottom back corner, and I'm making sure that that plane is on the ground again, okay? Not vertical. Now, as you can see, it just snapped to the origin point. So now it's on the origin point. Okay, so here's where I can show you a few little things. First thing is I want it to reorientate towards me. So I can click this reorient secondary axis so that the slots are both facing towards me, towards the front and right view. Okay, and you can also flip it as well, but we're just going to have it upright with the slots at the top. Now here's the interesting thing. If I press play on this, nothing happens. Okay, because what that play button does is it shows you the degrees of freedom it has. So if I was to change this fasten mate to a revolute mate and then press play, you can see that a revolute mate allows the leg to stay on the origin point on the ground, but it allows it to spin on its axis. Okay, so it's restricting it, but it's also allowing it to move. Okay, so the more the fasten mate has ultimate restriction, which is totally restricted, while the other mates have different ways of restricting it. So planar mate, as you can see, it can move in multiple directions, but it stays on relative to the ground, relative to that plane, and it just slides around on that plane. So it can spin and move away from it, while the revolute mate had less degrees of freedom. All right, let's stop talking about that. You kind of get the idea, I imagine, by now. So I'm going to go fasten mate, and I'm going to leave it so those slots are facing towards me, and I'm going to just tick that. All right, so we've placed our first part. The next thing we want to do is just X on the second fasten mate. It will prompt you to do another mate straight away, but we don't need to, so we're just going to X that, and then that means it doesn't pop up here. Because what kids tend to do is they tend to tick it accidentally, and then they just have like 5 or 6 different mates that are completely irrelevant, and sometimes they actually, are actually hurt. Like they actually hurt the process, because if you've fastened mated something and you're about to planar mate it, you're restricting. It's already restricted. You can't move it from where it needs to be. So I'm going to go back and insert another part. And this time I'm going to insert an apron. Apron number 1 I need to insert, but wherever yours is, you can insert, and then I'm going to tick it. So remember, left click to pick the part, left click to place the part, and then tick to when you're happy with your part in there. So I'm just going to Control Z that out. Remember, Control Z is your best friend. Control Z that part out that I just placed. So I'm happy with my part that's in there now, and I'm just going to Control Z one more time, and now there's only one part inserted, and I'm just going to tick that. Alright, so next thing I want to do is make some planar mates. Now, in each slot for each apron, alright, for each slot, one side of the apron, there needs to be 3 planar mates. That's why there was about 25 planar mates in our assembly here. Alright, so many, okay? So for each slot, it's over here, so we need 3 planar mates. Now, the planar mates will be, and there's more than one way to skin a cat, so it can either be the top face here and the top face here, or it can be the bottom face of the apron, this space here, with the bottom of the slot, which is just in there, okay? So it's up to you which one you want to do. I find the top face is easier. And you also need to do a planar mate between this side bit here, right, and this inside bit, right, the opposite side to that bit here, because it'll slot in like that. Or you can do this side bit here, right, and then the outside bit here, okay? It's up to you. And then the last thing we need to do, you might already know, is we need to go this end bit here, right? Only one on this situation. Or you could technically do this inside bit here, but we'll just go this end bit here with the end bit in there, okay? So let's start. Let's start with the end bit. So I'm going to do a planar mate, which is this one with the cross and the 4 arrows. I'm going to select that end bit in there, and I'm going to select the middle of the face. So I need to move my mouse around the rectangle, the part that I can see, because if I come into here, it'll just select something in there, but in that space, I'm going to select it until it goes into the middle there. See how that middle axis has come up? end on that vertical plane. That's what we want. Okay. If you wanted to, you could just go on right view and then turn it from there, and there you go. Right. That's our first angle. And just make sure you selected the back face and not, the front face of it, because technically you could select this face here. So I've selected the back face, as you can see. If you want to deselect it, just press X on it if it's not the right part or face of the part. And then we want to put our tenon in it, in the mortise, right? So I'm going to select the end of this panel, the tenon, and I'm going to select that middle point as well, because you can select the top and bottom, but we want the middle. Alright, as you can see, it's snapped into place. Alright, now as you can see, it's put into the correct position. But if I press the play button, you can see all the different degrees of freedom that it has still. Okay, so I'm going to click tick on that mate. You can either do it there or the other way. And then we're going to move on to the next planar mate. And like I said before, this automatically prompts you to do another mate, so we're just going to use that this time. And what I'll do is I'll go in the middle of this plane, select that, and I'll go the top of my leg here as well, because we want them relative to each other. Alright, now as you can see, it's snapped into the middle of our leg, but we don't want that. So if we click solve, it'll go back to where it is, and it'll just show us. So what happens is the axis goes directly over the other axis that we selected. But when we click solve, it accounts for the other mates, right? It's like just a troubleshooting thing. So once we're happy with that, and remember you can always X out of those connectors and retry, or you can just X entirely out of the plane mate and redo it from there. But these are the new degrees of freedom. Right, so it's not going up and down, it's staying at the same height, and it's also staying relative to the back. So we need to do one more mate. Okay, so I'm going to tick that. Now the last mate is going to be a bit trickier. Alright. Now I reckon, because I'm lucky, I've got that situation here where there's a tiny gap, and then I would have planar mated that. But I'll do it the right way so you guys know how as well. What you want to do is you want to come over to one of your parts, okay, and you want to hide it with this little eyeball. So I'm going to hide that part there. I'm going to select the face in here. All right, and then I'm going to unhide that part, and then hide the apron. And then I'm going to come around to the back angle, and I'm going to look at that part, and make sure you're selecting the correct thing on this one. All right. So as you can see, it's highlighted yellow, the part that was there, because we've just selected that as a mate, yeah? But it's also highlighted yellow, that back face of the slot, or the side of the slot. So I'm going to left click on that. And now we have our last planar mate. So if I unhide that and press play, it's still able to move, but we're going to mate it to another thing in a minute. So I'm going to tick that to solve it, and X out of that mate. And as you can see, it's a clean mortise and tenon joint now. So now we're just going to repeat that process for every single leg. So I'm just going to go a bit faster now. So insert, get my leg, number one leg, right, tick it, and I might just grab my entire part. So I'm going to left click on the entire part, and I'm just going to rotate it 90 degrees so I can get a better angle. Alright, so I've rotated 90 degrees just so I can see the slots, and I know the orientation of the slots needs to be one going into that apron there, and then one going out this way so I can do the next apron. Alright, so whatever works for you that makes you able to see the orientation before you need to mate anything. I'm also going to move it out here. You can just left click, drag and drop it. Alright. And let's do the back face again first. Planar mate, zoom out, select the middle, come around, select the middle of this one too, and then tick, Next planer mate, top face, and the top face of this one too, the ground mates. Solve it, tick it. Now coming different angle, I'm going to hide the leg. I'm going to select this side face. I might change the angle again, sorry. Select that face there. This block here is your best friend. It makes it, don't try and hover over the tiniest little gap so you can select something. Make it easy on yourself. Hide parts and use this orientation view so you can do it the right way. So now I've hidden the apron again, and I need to come around the back and look at this part. There we go. So I've got that back rectangle high-low. That's what I want. There we go. So that's made it together. I've got my two mate connectors. I can solve it, and I can tick it, and I can unhide it as well. So now I'll X out of this. Oh, unhide. There we go. And now if I try and left click and drag something, it won't work. Okay, because it's mated. Alright, so let's move on. Next apron. Insert, apron 1, drag drop, tick, select your part. You can either click on the part itself or come over to the menu here and click on like that. And I'm just going to angle it 100 or 90 degrees, sorry, so I can view it better. Alright, perfect. Now I'm going to get that end face, planer mate, select the middle, and then come around here to our slot. Oh, I've already selected part 1 for some reason, so I'm just going to redo that because it's tried to trick me a little. Apparently I clicked something in the middle of that, so I'm just going to come around the back again, redo my planer mate, select the center. Right, we're all good for now. Reorient and select the center of that as well. Alright, solve it, tick it, and then we're going to do the top face, planer mate, and the top face of the leg, planer mate, solve it, tick it, and then move on. Alright, next one we want to do is another planer mate, and we're going to have to hide our leg again. So I believe it's that one there, and we're going to view it from here. Left click on that face, unhide the leg and hide the new apron, come around the back, and then select the part that you need to be highlighting. As you can see, I'm hovering over the apron here. That's why it hasn't highlighted the second yellow rectangle. So when the second yellow one's highlighted, that's the correct one. So left click on that, solve it, tick it, and then move on. It's just repeated steps. Once you do it once, you'll know how to do the rest of them. Okay. All right. Next thing we need to do is insert a new part. Unhide our apron. Insert my leg. Leg 1. Bring it over here. It's just a bit laggy now. There's a little bit going on. There we go. All right. This is finally the correct view. And left click to drop and tick to confirm that that's the only part you want in there. Right, planer mate, once again, select the back of the slot, click the front of the tenon, solve it, tick it, and move on. Top of the leg, top of the apron, solve it, tick it, and move on. Right, now we need to hide a part, so I'm going to hide the leg, select the side of the tenon, unhide the leg, hide the apron, come around so you can see that angle it needs, the side needs to be up against. Select the side of the mortise, solve it, tick it, and move on. And unhide your part. And we're nearly there. Only 2 more aprons, 1 more leg. Alright, so now looking at the front and the right. Get out of the planer mate, insert a new part, new apron. Right, I've got to unhide my apron as well. Right, place my apron Again, a bit laggy. My computer's doing a lot at the moment. Left click to place, tick when you're content. Select the end, do planar mate, sorry. Select the end of the tenon, end of the mortise. Solve it, tick it, and move on. Top face of the apron, top of the leg. I didn't select the top of the apron. There you go. There we go. Solve it, tick it, move on. Alright, last side. Right, so I'm going to hide the leg again. Side of the apron, unhide the leg, change your angle so you can see that leg. Back panel, and then hide the apron. And then inside of our slot, our mortise, sorry. There we go. And then solve it, tick it, and move on. Alright, we're doing really well. I'm going to unhide that part. Now we just need another leg and one more apron. You can speed through this part as well. Alright, leg, place it, unhide the apron, tick it. I'm going to reorientate mine 90 degrees. There we go. And I'm just going to move it out a little as well. There we go. Alright, so end of the tenon, planar mate, select, come around, and then select. Oh, we're a bit low on that. Something happened. Alright, I've accidentally selected the wrong thing, so I'm just going to come around. I'm going to move my leg because it's in a weird position. So it's all the way out here now. Alright, so there we go. Alright, is it in a good position now? Yeah, awesome. So redo the planar mate. For me, at least, you might be all good. Select the end of the mortise, right, and then end of the tenon. Right, this guy and your zoom is your best friend, okay? Solve it, tick it, move on. Top face of the leg, top face of the rail or apron, solve it, tick it, move on. And then last thing is our side. Right, I'm going to hide my leg, get the side there, make sure it's in the middle, and then hide the apron and unhide the leg. Change your angle, make sure it's the right one highlighted, solve it, tick it, move on. Okay, unhide the apron once again, get out of the planar mate. And then the last thing I want to do until we do the top is insert the last apron. So we'll need to do more than one mate here. It's being quite laggy. There we go. Tick the part. Right. First thing I'll do in this situation is do the top planar mate. So top of the apron, top of the leg. Okay, doesn't matter which leg, it can be either. Solve it. I'm going to reorientate it as well. Tick it. Alright, now we're going to do the end parts of our tenon. Go, solve it, tick it. And I'm going to go just focus on this leg at the moment. So let's hide the leg. Side of the tenon. Left click that. There it is. Hide the apron, unhide the leg. And then there we go. Alright, tick it, unhide it. And now let's see, it shouldn't have any degrees of freedom really. So if I exit out of that planar mate and then come into this planar mate and then press play, it still does have a degree of freedom in that. So I'm just going to tick that and then unhide it. And what I'll do is I'll hide the initial leg. Right, so that's this one here, the first part we did. And I'm going to do the side for the planar mate. Right, and then come change the angle. And then unhide the first part. And then hide the apron, which is the last one. And then do the mate between the sides, solve it. And then before I tick it, I'm going to press play again. It's still doing the same thing, but I don't think it will be of any consequence. So I'm going to unhide it, right? And I'm going to press X on my new planar mate, unhide it again for some reason. And if I drag a box over this, of all of it, can I move any of this? Is the question. And the answer should be no. I'm trying to move it in multiple directions. Can't rotate it, so I think we're all good. Alright, last thing we want to do, this is one of the easier parts, so you're nearly there, okay, is we're going to do the top face. And I'm going to do top number, just top actually. I'm going to put it in, just put it up the top here somewhere, and then tick it. And then the first thing I'll do is a planar mate between the top face and the top of the legs. Right, so in the middle there, and then any of the legs will do, just go as long as they're on the top. And you can just solve it if you want, won't necessarily do anything, but that's fine, tick it. And now what we want to do is we want to do another planar mate between the side of the table. It doesn't matter which side you choose, just start with one. And then the side of the leg, you can either choose the middle leg, just choose the middle leg over here. Or is that the origin point? Nah, it's the middle leg. Alright, and then solve it. And then we want that, if we come to the view where you can see it from the side, right, click your scroll wheel to pan it, and we're just going to go offset. And I believe it needs to be offset by 25. So press enter when you're happy with that, solve it again, and that looks even on both sides, okay? So we've got 50 mil here, 300 mil here, and 50 mil here. So that's 400 mil, and this top here is 450 mil. So it should be 25 between here and this face, and here and this face, which is the 50 mil. So I'm going to tick that. And now I'm going to do the same for the other side, as you can see, I need to. So planar mate from the side, and then the leg here, solve it, and then we're going to go to the front view, and we're going to go offset, and we're going to go 25 once again. Enter, and then we're going to solve it, and we're going to press play on it, see what happens. Yeah, it's rotating, but I think that should be of little consequence. Tick it, look at it from an angle, and you finish the table. That's the whole thing. That's everything you need to do. So I know it was a time-consuming process, but you got there in the end, and well done. So from here, we can for the next video, we can look at putting this in a technical drawing. That should only take us about 5 minutes, so it should be a good one. See you on the next one.